We can run through it again. I just want one good read through so Troy and Jeremy and Ray and everyone can read their lines out loud, get a feel for it. And then I want to walk through. We're all going to get up and we're going to walk through the process of the script on where we're going so you guys all have a visual. So those of you that have lines can understand where you're going to be for these lines and how we're going to do this. And then if we want to after that, we can run through it one quick time. Because it's 23 pages, on average a minute a page. So I know a lot of us have to work tomorrow and it's already 7 o'clock, so.
Yeah, we both work at 6.
Yeah, so we'll just read through it quick.
I work at 4.
We'll read through it quick.
I work at now.
Avery,
I never stop working.
Avery, if you want to sit with your Avery,
What?
if you want to sit through this read through and then go through the walkthrough with us and then start putting stuff up on the second one, you can do that. Alright. But yeah, any notes, just let us know. If they're minor notes, you guys, if they're minor notes, just mark it on your page. Eric? Okay, if you have a minor note that's not like interruptible or whatever, just mark it on your page, we'll go back to it after.
So typo.
Any questions?
Can you pay for the full version of Studio Binder so we don't get these advertisements in our script?
Sure.
Wait, there are advertisements?
It's just the web page. I mean, I could export it and just remove them.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, it's like $300 a year. It's pretty expensive. No, there is no point. It's free. All right, you ready? Everybody, a round of applause to Troy for writing an amazing script.
Do my best.
All right. So this is The Farm by Troy Miller. Opening scene, scene 1, exterior highway sunset. Distant headlights grow larger and brighter as they approach. The overgrown weeds and trees are illuminated. As the car passes at high speeds, darkness covers the ground. Scene 2, interior vehicle sunset. Ray, 32, is in the driver's seat of the vehicle. Mark, 30, is sitting in the passenger seat.
Anything?
What do you think?
Ray sighs and sinks deeper into his seat. Mark shakes his head and tosses his phone on the dash, screen facing upward.
How did you manage to get us this lost? It's amazing.
We had directions. It's not my fault you lost signal.
We were driving through the middle of nowhere, and you didn't consider the possibility that we might lose signal. I told you to write it down.
Mark doesn't respond. He stares ahead.
Right, great. Just ignore me. It's always easier for you that way.
Ding! Ray and Mark look over to the phone as it lights up with a notification.
Finally, pull over quick before I lose signal again.
Ray pulls over to the side of the road and turns his hazards on. Mark has the phone in his hands.
We should probably call Dad and let him know we're still coming.
Mark doesn't reply and continues looking at his phone.
I found us a place to stay.
Ray looks over at him, confused.
What do you mean?
It looks like a bed and breakfast on a farm nearby. Super cheap.
We were going to just drive through the night and make it to the cabin in one shot. Why are you...
Ray cuts himself off and sighs as Mark puts his phone to his ear. A faint ringing noise comes from Mark's phone.
Olsen Farms, Trevor speaking.
Yeah, I'm calling to book a room for tonight. Do you have anything available?
Matter of fact, we just had something open up. Stroke of good luck.
Yeah. I guess so.
When can we expect you?
We're about 40 minutes away.
Splendid. Well, everything prepared for you by then. How many of you are there?
Just me and my brother.
Perfect. See you soon.
Mark hangs up with a mixed expression on his face.
Something was off about that guy.
Ray puts the car back in the drive and starts pulling forward.
You can't put off seeing Dad forever, Mark.
Mark lets out a laugh and turns to look out his window.
Huh. Oh, you're definitely the one to talk to about avoiding problems.
Mark attaches his phone to the mount on the dash.
There you go. Don't get lost.
Both Ray and Mark look forward in silence. Questions?
We need a name for Ray's character.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, yeah.
Troy?
What about Beam?
Beam?
What about General?
Instead of Ray,
Pierre.
Shine?
And Jeff had come up with a name for his character.
What was that?
I can't remember, but it was really good. I'll have to ask him again.
It can't be too far off.
Troy, what do you see? What do you see for Ray?
I guess it could.
Can't we see someone tomorrow?
Let's just keep going.
Usually.
Okay, yeah, we got it. Just
Along the
note it
same
down and
lines.
go back to it.
Yeah.
Clark?
Scene 3, exterior, Olson Farms, night. Vehicle is driving slowly out of the woods as it approaches a cornfield on one side and a building on the other. The grass-covered dirt road turns into what appears to be a driveway. Ray and Mark look at each other with a mutual Man, I got typos all over the place. With a mutual worrisome reaction. Vehicle approaches a small red barn. As they pass it, Mark looks out the window at the flickering light bulb hanging from the corner of the barn. The barn is run down and the windows are darkened. Ahead of them is an old farmhouse. Ray drives up toward the house and sees a makeshift parking space under a bright light. Behind the concrete platform sits a rundown yellow bus. Ray pulls into the parking space. Questions?
I'm sorry, I'm filming.
Flip them over.
I don't even want to risk it because it'll just.
Oh, we got a light for it. We got a light on the dimmer switch.
Yeah, it's here.
Yeah. Anything else? Good. Scene 4, interior vehicle night. Ray looks around suspiciously and does not turn the engine off.
Ray?
His concentration broken. Ray comes to and turns the engine off.
This place is creepy.
It's an old farm. Aren't all old farms creepy at night?
Neither brother says a word.
Reach into the glove box for me, would ya?
Mark looks at him puzzled, then proceeds to open the glove box. He pulls out a black 9mm semi-automatic pistol.
Do you really think we'll...
Take it. I'm not taking any chances.
Mark hesitantly slips the pistol into the main pocket of his backpack. Mentally prepared, the brothers exit the vehicle. Questions? Good?
Good.
Scene 5, exterior Olson Farms, night. On the porch of the rickety farmhouse sits Jeff in a rocking chair, smoking the last few puffs of a cigarette, rocking very slowly. A medium-sized dog is lying next to him obediently. Ray and Mark have each grabbed a backpack from the car. They reach the steps of the porch, but neither wants to speak up first.
Excuse me, sir?
Jeff continues rocking, but does not reply.
Sir?
Jeff looks over to the two brothers. He stops rocking, sets the cigarette in the ashtray beside him, then stands up. The dog turns its head back to watch him leave, but does not follow. Jeff glances down at the brothers from the top of the steps as he opens the door and enters the house. Ray and Mark look at each other confused.
I don't think that's the guy I talked to on the phone.
After a few moments, Jeff reemerges from the house. He still remains silent as he returns to his rocking chair. He picks up a cigarette and resumes rocking. As he does, a younger man also exits the house, flask in hand.
Ah, you must be our esteemed guest. Good morrow, gentlemen.
Trevor mockingly bows and lets out a small laugh. Neither Ray nor Mark respond.
That's right, I'm Ray. This is Mark.
Fantastic. My name's Trevor, and that chatty old bastard over there's Jeff. Careful with him, he's always got a story he's just dying to tell.
Another small laugh squeaks out of Trevor before he takes a swig from his flask. He hurries down the steps and grazes past the brothers.
Come, I've set everything up for you.
We aren't staying in the house?
Trevor laughs, then turns back to face them as he continues walking backwards.
I know it's beautiful on the outside, but we got much... Is there supposed to be another word in there? We've got much accommodations.
We got much accommodations.
We got much accommodations waiting for you just this way. Come along.
Trevor turns back to walk normally again, and the boys reluctantly follow. After making some distance away from the house, Trevor whispers to Mark.
Hey, if you boys need, we'll pick me up.
He motions towards his flask. Mark looks at it, a little uneasy with how close Trevor's gotten.
The old man's got a moonshine stash like you wouldn't believe. He's been holding out on me, but I found out about it, and I take what I can while he's not around.
I think we're good.
Suit yourself.
Back on the porch, Jeff takes one last puff from the cigarette and stops rocking in his chair. He reaches his right hand down to firmly grips... God, I can't talk. And these titles are bad. Grips his dog's collar, then takes a cigarette in his left hand and takes it into the dog's back. He holds it there for a few seconds as the dog yelps, then pulls it away and lets go. As he lets go, Jeff leans back in his chair with a look of sick pleasure on his face. The sound of the dog's pain sends a rush of endorphins through him, and he exhales into an almost relieved smile. Questions?
Stop. How are we putting the cigarette on the dog?
We talked about it.
CGI.
I think we're going to imply it, and then we'll have Aaron call for the dog or something so he turns his head to
Okay.
kind of.
Yeah, all we gotta do is show them going like this.
Yeah, like putting it off to the side where the dog would like
Yeah.
or something.
I was gonna say one thing we could add to disguise that he doesn't actually smoke. He could be spitting, chew, because it's gross.
Yeah.
You know,
But then what about the cigarette and the dog?
he's just holding the cigarette.
Oh, okay. And not actually smoking off of it.
Yeah.
You.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to be.
Just get some Red Man, damn it, and grow some balls.
3 cigarettes a day.
Anything else?
Sounds like he's happy to get on film.
I hear sitting's the new smoking, so I mean, you guys are killing yourselves right now. Like, I'm look at me, I'm fucking standing.
You have a script. Where
You're
is
the one who
it?
set up the chairs.
Where's your script there?
You're giving us all blood clots sitting down.
Script.
Give you a hoodie and you
Oh, I
already
stole
been
it.
working.
I sold it. That's right.
Dang.
Some guy named Epic.
Alright, anything else?
What did you want?
It's just that one line with much accommodations kind of feels a little.
What did you want it to say?
I don't know. It feels like
It sounded good when you said it.
okay. Yeah, but it just
It did. It sounded really like redneck.
Yeah, I don't think I changed that very much.
What if it's in here?
Can you be a little bit more?
I think you could even make more. I think you could even make more mistakes. Like that.
Yeah, I don't remember if I changed that or not though.
It's
So,
like,
Yeah, that might have been what I put on.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of the
yeah,
dialogue I just copy pasted.
Okay.
Most of what I changed was small description things for locations, all that. But
Yeah.
there was a little bit of dialogue that I switched, but I don't remember changing anything.
Okay.
But it could be.
Yeah.
So we are on scene 6, exterior campsite night. Trevor Ray and Mark emerge from a path surrounded by tall weeds and brush and reach a large white tent.
Well, here we are, my boys. The presidential suite.
He laughs and looks back at them. The brothers both return dismissive smiles.
Great, thanks.
Mark walks over to the tent cautiously and opens it.
Jesus.
Questions?
I love that line.
Who's playing Jesus?
Say it out.
Scene 7, interior tent night. Ray follows Mark inside the tent and peers over his shoulder.
Oh, wow.
This oh wow, Troy, is that like a surprise oh wow?
Yeah, I kind of had it as like a follow-up to like Mark's reaction, so the way he's just like surprised.
Like that it's good or bad?
Good, as in like it's more than you expected.
That's what I figured, I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah.
Inside the tent, a large bed has been set up with 4 luxurious pillows and a quilt neatly placed atop it. We'll probably change the actual props, I don't know what we decided for that.
Whatever's in there.
Yeah, whatever's in there. On either side are small end tables, one of which holds a framed photograph and a small printed out poem.
To your lappings, Mr. Presidents.
Ray and Mark each jolt a little at how close Trevor has come to them. I can't wait to film that scene, this is so good. Has come to them before speaking. Trevor smiles and lets out a small laugh.
Yeah, it's very nice. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Trevor slaps them each on the shoulders.
I'll leave you two to make yourselves comfortable. Please make your way inside for some of our signature lemonade once you've settled.
I think we might just get straight to bed. It's been a long day, but thanks for the offer.
I must insist.
Brothers turn around to look at Trevor, put off slightly by his last statement. By the time they do, Trevor has already begun his return to the house. Ray walks over to an end table and picks up the picture frame.
That dude's got something wrong with him, man.
Ray's face contorts into confusion and slight disgust as he looks at the photograph and reads the poem to himself. He sets the frame back down.
I need a smoke.
Are we taking this out?
What?
Him smoking? Is that the plan?
Right, he just needs a reason to go outside.
Should we just say like I need some air or something?
Need some fresh air.
It's up to you guys.
I mean, like,
I mean, let's be real. If you weren't breathing fresh air, you'd be dead. So.
the critical side of me is like, why would he ever want to go back outside
Other than to smoke.
with
Yeah.
with those creeps?
Speaking of, has anybody seen my smokes? That's why I've been aimlessly walking around looking like a fucking weirdo. I'm just like,
I told you it's your last puff.
I'm gonna put you into a choke slam here if you
No,
have.
At the same time, if he just said, "Can you get some air?"
Nope.
Like as long as we.
I don't know where they're at.
Freaking out. It's really disturbing and weird, and just something is off.
So it'll come down to shooting.
Yeah.
Wasn't Ray putting the cigarette on the dog?
No.
No, it's the other. That's.
Yeah, so I mean that would work. We can shoot it as if it's creating anxiety and he needs to get out of a confined
We
space.
put like a little bit of blood on the palm or something, just
Yeah.
like a little smear.
Or
A dot.
just write some notes
So it's
down.
like, what could that be?
Bunch of small.
Ray drops his backpack at the end of the bed. What?
I had something.
What?
At the start of it, when he says, "Oh wow," I think he should like elongate it, like, "Oh wow," like,
Yeah.
yeah. That's it.
That feels sarcastic. That was supposed to be genuine. Oh,
Oh wow.
Oh.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
Wow. It's been
Oh wow.
two months.
Moving on.
Avery. It's been 2 months.
Then two months.
Ray drops his backpack near the end of the bed and exits the tent.
Can you guys stop tap dancing on your phones over here? Holy crap. Sounds like Phantom of the Opera in here or something.
3 minutes.
Scene 8, exterior campsite night. Ray leans on a nearby tree, alone apart from the moon shining on him. He pulls out a pack of cigarettes and light. So we'll just maybe his phone. And he doesn't have service or
Yeah,
something.
he's trying to get service.
He lights up his phone, expels a large click on the screen, and closes it. When he reopens his eyes, Ray looks off into the distance and notices something strange. There appears to be barbed wire. Do we have barbed wire?
Yeah, it's actually there.
Okay. Running along the top of the fencing near the edge of the farm. He stands up straighter and squints to try to get a better look. Clang.
what the?
Ray looks back and sees Mark, who just tripped over some of the metal chairs outside the tent. Ray settles himself and leans against the tree again.
What?
I didn't. Never mind.
Ray takes another puff of look at his phone and looks back toward the fence in the distance. Mark joins him, leaning on the opposite side of the tree.
You mind?
Mark motions towards Ray's phone and as he looks over, hands it over, returning to gaze immediately to the fence. The brothers share a few snaps and
See how much cooler it is in the city?
okay, Mark.
I shouldn't have had us come here.
A little late to figure that one out, don't you think?
Do you have to be an asshole about it?
Mark scoffs and takes another look at the phone. Ray's gaze has not shifted.
You're right, though. Something is weird about this place.
Beyond the fences, just outside Ray's sight, we see a cluster of wooden crosses neatly organized into 3 rows. They are each unmarked. Back at the campsite, Ray takes the last click of his phone, drops it.
I'm sorry.
It's a
I just-
prepaid.
Piece of crap.
It's turned into a comedy pretty quick.
Stupid girlfriend. Phone and snaps it in half.
I'm sorry.
Alright.
I'm sorry. I just.
I know.
Around the corner of the path to the campsite, Jeff emerges with his dog by his side. He approaches the brothers with a glass of lemonade in each hand. He stops and holds one glass out near Mark's hand, waiting silently for him to take it.
That's okay. Trevor mentioned it earlier, but I'm really not.
It would be rude to refuse.
Both brothers look at Jeff, surprised that he has finally spoken. Jeff stares intensely at Mark, piercing through his eyes and into his soul.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Mark grabs Mark. That was clearly a copy paste. Mark grabs the glass and takes a drink. Yeah, when I would copy, like drag to copy it in the PDF form, you had to go like 3 words past the first or last for it to actually grab that one for whatever reason. Takes a drink. Ray looks down at the bloodhound standing loyally but coldly at Jeff's feet. Jeff walks over to Ray. Ray preempts the issue and takes the glass immediately.
Thanks.
Jeff turns around and silently returns down the path. Before he rounds the first corner, he looks back at the brothers one last time. Ray and Mark both look quickly, take long swigs of their individual lemonades, at which point Jeff turns back and continues on his way.
We are not staying here, Mark.
Don't have to tell me twice. Let's get our shit and get the hell out of here.
Dad, Jeremy just swore.
Yeah, we gotta change that.
The brothers set their glasses of lemonade down on the ground next to the tree. Mark re-enters the tent with Ray following closely behind. Questions?
We should have the dog with at that point.
Who has a
Yeah, he
bloodhound?
was, wasn't he?
Are the dogs too chipper?
Yeah, dog's at his side.
I suppose he doesn't.
We need a dirty dog.
Yeah, the first thing is, Mark talks about the dog, right?
Oh, right.
It's an option.
Ray, there should be some kind of interaction between Ray and the dog.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Because it's like it kind of sets up later on that the dog.
What if Ray like leans down and the dog like goes to sniff him, and Jeff like pulls back on his collar or something
Yeah, something
to
like that.
prevent, like the dog wants to go to Ray,
Right.
but he stops the dog from going to Ray.
Right.
Troy,
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's good.
good.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone?
Here, is that doable
What?
with Bale?
Do what again?
Put him on a leash.
Put me in a leash.
Okay. So from horror,
Different movie, right?
He's like, okay, moving
I'll
on.
put a choke collar on him. So it looks like he's gonna,
yeah.
like he's meaner to the dog
You could do that.
This
We
went
could
from a
put barbed
horror to a
wire.
comedy to a porno pretty quick.
on the outside of it.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. Scene 9, interior, 10th night.
Choke, hinge collar, and then it
As they
does.
grab their bags and
Depending on
prepare to
how
leave,
hard
Ray
the
notices
dog
that
is.
Mark seems a bit woozy.
Mark?
I don't feel so good.
There's no good in there.
Or I don't feel so.
Before he can finish his sentence, Mark collapses on the ground in front of Ray.
Mark!
He rushes over to his. Oh!
I actually kind of like it more with good in there.
Yeah.
It feels a little corny. I
Okay.
don't feel so.
Alright, yeah, we can have him finish his sentence and then fall. He rushes over to his smaller brother and starts shaking him by his shoulders.
Hey, come on, man, wake up. We gotta.
Ray's eyes begin to glaze over and he stops. He looks down at his hands.
What's
Ray topples over next to his brother. They both lie unconscious.
happening to me?
No, Ray, there's no rest of the sentence.
Anything else other than finishing? Okay.
No, sounds good to me.
Scene 10, interior milk barn night.
How come he gets to finish, but I
You don't get to finish, Ray.
Main character never
You're
finishes.
edging this entire
Yeah, you're the buzzkill brother of this story.
You're edging the entire movie.
You're the girl in the film.
Mom said she was gonna hire a fluffer for you.
Oh my gosh.
You're gonna need two fluffers with Ray over there.
General idea. Alright, 10 interior milk barn night.
Ugh.
Ray awakens in a strange new place, groggy and sore. He tries to move his arms and support himself. Shunk. Ray looks at his wrists and he sees that he has been tied to a metal pole with steel chains. He begins panicking and attempts to scream, but his mouth has been gagged with a dirty cloth. He begins panting, frantically trying to make sense of everything. Ray looks around to gather info of his new surroundings. He's joined by 4 others inside a deep, dirty pit. A dim red-colored light bulb is all that hovers above them. Straight across from him is a young woman with stringy, matted down brown hair, also chained to a pole, which I figured was Emily, but we're gonna have Jessica. What color is her hair?
Mostly blonde.
She's gonna have to change it.
I don't know.
Also chained to a pole. She seems to have been here for quite some time. 2 other people surround him on either side, unidentifiable figures with hair in their faces. And behind him, just out of reach, is Mark. Whoa! Mark is crumpled up on the ground, his arms raised above the back of his head due to his chain restraints holding them aloft. Ray begins kicking in Mark's direction, grazing him a few times.
Sounds like he's trying to be the dog.
Okay, Kenny.
Mark remains motionless. Eventually, Ray gives up kicking and lowers his head. He begins to sob to himself before desperately yanking on his restraints. After a few moments, a noise breaks through from a nearby room. Creak! Chunk! A door has opened and closed. Ray freezes in place, then notices some stirring across from him.
Question. How does she say those lines if her mouth is gagged?
What do you mean?
I'm assuming the same way Ray would say his, right? Just
Yeah, it's just like a loosely bandana.
You know, movie gags.
I mean, it would probably just be more general screams than actual words, you know? Like if you know what's coming and you're tied up and you can't talk.
Yeah, but when it's
you know?
yeah, we're sort of like this.
Yeah.
I can hear what they're saying.
But I feel like you probably wouldn't.
Should we just not have her as a
her
gag?
lines are like super important, so she could just.
I think,
Yeah.
I think that will try it and see what it sounds like. Yeah, and if it sounds bad or something, we'll just take it off.
Because I think it's more intense if we can hear her say that.
Yeah, I
I feel
agree.
like if you're like that and you know you're about to die and you've been there for a while, like who are you talking to? You know what I mean?
The dude that's taking her.
They're gonna be drowsy at first though. They're waking up because they were drugged, right? They're drugged and then they wake up
Yeah.
and change, so they might be like.
But she's been there for a while, so
It may take
she not be drugged
a few
anymore.
minutes, and then like,
Yeah, she's been
maybe
there.
somebody else is panicking because they've already been out. One person at least is like coming out of it. This whole.
I mean, I think, oh, there's a spider crawling.
That's gonna be a
Like a
shot.
few of them have already been pulled out, and now Mark and Ray are chained up in there, so there's more.
So they're gonna be the ones though, is the scene shot gonna be right when they're like
Trying to give
coming to,
Peter
the
Myers.
other people are like screaming.
No, so the other people are
Unconscious.
unconscious.
Okay.
And when the creature comes in, she reacts, and the reason that this happens is because she's been there a while and she knows what's coming.
She's
And Ray's character, the whole point of it is that Ray's character gets to see firsthand not just the monster, but how scared she is of what's about to
Yeah,
happen.
so she needs to be kind of screaming then.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe her gag fell out, or it got.
I mean,
We could just have it.
She could have pulled it out just like Ray does too.
If you
So,
get like half of it.
That's
Yeah.
true. Alright. Mom, you ready?
Okay.
The door's opened and closed. Ray freezes in place, then notices some stirring across from him.
No,
A silhouette appears in the doorway.
no, God, please no, not me.
The woman begins frantically thrashing about, tearing at her restraints in a primal frenzy. Ray looks on in terror, unsure whether to follow her lead or simply give in to the hopelessness she is trying so fervently to dodge. The silhouette makes its way through the doorway. There's enough darkness in the room that it isn't entirely clear who or what this figure is. Brief flashes of light upon it reveal a face riddled with teeth and eyes patched over, which we're changing if that mask shows up. It approaches the pit, hunched over as if to stalk its prey, even though the prey has already been captured.
Please, please.
Creature slowly maneuvers through the pit, sounds of its wet, labored breathing filling the air. It stops standing directly between Ray and the stranger. Ray's breathing quickens drastically as he closes his eyes. Creature stands still for an uncomfortably long time before turning to the stranger and violently pulling her away from the pole, taking her chain restraints along with her.
No! Let me go! Let me go!
There we go. The screams flood the room as the creature begins to eviscerate her. Through a foggy glass window at the edge of the room, spurts of blood pepper the air. The screaming gradually quiets and is replaced by the sounds of flesh being torn apart and devoured.
So she gets, so she gets it.
She gets killed.
Okay.
And the other two people in there are completely just out.
Yeah, just
So
non-responsive.
it's like Ray is going through this alone, even though his brothers are
I'm
here.
gonna have bad dreams.
I think we all are.
Good.
Ray sees streams of blood dripping down from the ceiling, plopping in pools all around him. Ray looks back at the doorway to see the creature once again. Its horrible disfigurement is very clear. Its skin appears aged and moldy, and its wide, fleshy mouth is now coated in red. Ray holds his breath and once again begins kicking in his brother's direction, hoping to wake him. Creature begins to approach. Ray closes his eyes once again and sits back, giving up on his efforts. He sits as still as possible, listening closely to the creature's every movement. The creature stops in between Ray and Mark. Ray can feel it watching them and cautiously opens his eyes, ready to accept his fate. As he does, the creature leans over Mark's prone body. The creature pays no mind to Ray's cries and pours eerily over Mark. It seems confused as to Mark's lack of fear. The creature wraps its hands around Mark and tears him away from his pole. As the creature lifts Mark into the air, Ray continues screaming desperately. Questions?
I'm gonna cry.
I say questions, not comments.
Yeah.
I'm going to comments for next.
Look at your eyes and work on
We're good?
screaming.
Good.
Scene 11, interior milk barn sometime later. Ray's lying on his side, a look of horror fixed firmly onto his face. He sits up and leans back against the inner wall of the pit, shaking slightly.
Question quick. Did we decide, are we doing the hay or,
I think we should do the hay.
Aaron, do you still have a way of getting that?
It's all out in the field right now. We can just go and cut some up.
Well,
Well, Mom can get it too.
I can get it from the farm.
So it just depends on what's easier.
If you can get like a couple bales, because otherwise, if me and 2 other people just went out there and we could go rip up enough to, because what do we want like 3 feet or do we want 3 inches?
You have the tools.
We want it enough to cover the ground and be semi-comfortable for the people that are sitting in there for potentially an hour or 2.
I'd say like a couple inches.
You've seen it like the monster.
Just
We're gonna need like,
like-
we're gonna need at least 5 bales of hay then.
Is that okay? Is that a good length?
That's too small, right?
perfect.
Well, what's gonna get it?
Whatever.
Ass and chicken.
It's not gonna be very satisfying for anyone.
Especially.
I mean, if you can get it, yeah, let's make it
Right.
comfortable. 5.
Turf. Or do you get the actual turf? I mean, physically.
Well, have
Throw it in
somebody
the-
add, put it in
throw
the
it back.
truck.
If it's thick hay, like.
No, right. 6 inches minimum.
I'm going up Thursday.
Around.
Yeah, I'm going to take care of that.
6 inches
so
around.
I'll take that truck.
And this is all in behind the scenes of.
Anyway,
Wait, not there.
so I'm next, but it does not show muffled anymore at this point. Have I found a way to?
Yeah, we probably would have pulled it off
Yeah.
by then anyway. It's gonna come down to Friday or Saturday and how we feel about it.
Okay.
I wish I think I had you getting knocked out of the muffle coming out, and then I just like shake it on your mouth.
I have access to my hands while I'm like, I can be like, fuck.
Yeah, he's
One
gonna
way or
be able to
another.
reach, yeah. So probably just have you pull it off pretty early.
Yeah, earlier,
yeah.
Like, yeah, my guess would be like when you're looking around at first when you wake up, and you see Mark, you call out a couple times and then pull it
Yeah,
out.
like mid, like call out his name once.
Yeah.
and, like,
Yeah,
look
yeah,
out.
okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Alright?
Oh, Mark.
After a few moments of collecting himself, Ray looks around. He is alone. Pools and trails of blood are scattered all around him, but he is alone. The only one left. Ray stands up and tries to take a step forward, but is partially pulled back by his chains.
Damn it.
Ray stands next to the pole and starts dancing.
Woohoo!
He begins examining it, looking for any kind of weakness. He grips his chains and attempts to pull at the base of the pole. He strains, but the pole doesn't give much. He stands back up and tries to see out of the foggy window behind him. As he peers out, he hears someone approaching the door. Terrified, he shoots back down to the ground. The door creaks open. Ray hears footsteps behind him and cranes his head back to see who or what has joined him.
Jeff.
A little more of a question.
Jeff.
Jeff walks slowly, methodically, offering no response. The only sign of life he presents is the fire flickering within the lantern he is carrying.
You sick motherfucker! You sick, sadistic motherfucker! What is this place? Where is my brother?
Jeff glances down at Ray but does not break stride as he continues toward the back of the room.
Hey! Answer me, you piece of shit! What is this place? What is that thing?
Jeff reaches the end of the room and opens a small compartment next to a large metal container. Pulls out a bottle of moonshine and holds it up in front of the overhead light. A smile breaks across his face.
Can we change where's my brother to where's Mark?
Yeah. Yeah, just write it down.
What do you do with Mark?
I'll just take your script here.
Just cause like saying where's my brother feels like it's, and I'm being courteous and
He's always
fair,
your
like,
master.
you know, it's like, where is my Mark?
You're always the killer.
Where's my car?
Jeff, these are people.
As Jeff begins making his way back toward the door, Ray stands up and begins yelling louder.
I'm gonna fucking kill you! You hear me? I'm going to fucking kill you for what you did here!
Jeff doesn't even pay a courtesy glance this time as he passes Ray. Ray's demeanor grows more frantic. Just as Jeff puts his hand on the door handle, Ray screams at him again.
I'm gonna kill you, and I'm gonna kill your son!
How do you feel about that? I changed it from the dog to the son.
More friendly for pet lovers.
Yeah.
I mean, I still like the dog one more,
Yeah.
just
I think it
because.
feels more natural
I
than the
got
dog.
confused when you said son.
He's gonna kill the son, Trevor.
Where am I? I'm lost.
Trevor's the one that brought him out to the tent.
Troy's character.
Yeah.
Is dad his dad?
Yeah.
Oh, so
I'm
that,
Trevor's
see,
dad.
I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
What if, how about this?
I figured, but I didn't know.
What if we do both? What if he says, I'm gonna kill your son, and Jeff doesn't even care, and then he's like, Ray's like trying to come up with something, And then he's like, I'm gonna kill your dog too. And then he stops, like as if he cares more about his dog.
That would be good.
As long as we make it clear that he's just like
That's just gonna be the hard
trying to
part.
come up with something, you know?
If you guys want to do that, I will. I do think it's gonna be hard to make it look like he's like a, oh, well, I'm gonna kill your dog kind of thing. Like to try to sell that and not, because people limit dogs, man.
I agree.
Yeah. Also, like,
If you say something like I'm gonna kill a dog and
I mean,
people
this
shut it off,
movie
it
has
also the idea that like,
eyeballs ripped out.
doesn't matter, it's a dog, dude.
Satanic
It's
torture
different, it is
crosses.
different.
It's a dog.
It's a dog.
It's
It just is.
Yeah.
Racy around it.
And that's why they
We barking
said
up our
that
tree.
to the
It's
dog.
just in there.
Yeah, but see, I'm okay with the cigarette with the dog because his character is evil and it's an evil thing to do. My worry is that when Ray, the hero, says that,
Yeah, if it's not
We're gonna
portrayed
lose it.
perfectly, it's
Yeah.
gonna, yeah.
so I say put it down. Let's do it both. Let's try to make him look like he's coming up with the idea just for the sake of the moment. But if we can't portray that, I think we go with some. Because I think that a lot of people, I mean, it goes back to the irrelevant thought. Most of our audience is worried that, yeah, that people aren't going to understand, like a lot of people. And I think a lot of people are going to lose Ray the moment he says something like that.
Well, if he does say
Too
it.
smart, guys.
If we,
So let's just do both. Let's see how it looks, and if it doesn't work, we'll just use the sun clip. 'cause-
if he does say it, how about, earlier when the eliminating thing happens, he makes a comment about how he loves dogs or something.
Yeah, that's too
No,
much.
too much?
Yeah. I think that the added interaction with the dog at the tent is good, because it, you
It's
know,
on some later, yeah.
yeah, it brings it back.
I know it's kind of stubborn, but like I hate making our story simpler and stupider because people are stupid. You know what I mean? Like all the foreshadowing is there about the dog. If you're paying attention to the movie, you know what's going on.
I mean, we'll shoot it, and if it works, it works.
No, I know. I'm
Yeah,
saying
I agree.
that's why I really wanted to do
I
that.
agree, but at the same time, if it causes people to shut it off at 12 minutes because Ray says I'm gonna kill a dog,
Yeah.
I don't want that in there.
Well, then we don't want them as a fan base anyway.
I know
Yeah,
some
it's
people
just
got
more
weird
odd
about
on
when dad
price,
got
yeah.
killed in that thing.
Yeah, the little things like
Yeah,
that, which
and it was stupid, yeah, they
There's
were.
always gonna be something.
there
It's
is,
just
but we
a-
can mitigate some of these things
All
because
right, let's keep moving.
the idea of killing someone's son is enough for a father to turn around and be like, what'd you say?
Let's keep moving.
Yeah.
Mikey, when it says I'm gonna fucking kill you for what you did here, would it be any different if it was doing here?
For what you're doing
Like
here.
did here maybe implies like
I think I
he
do like
knows
that
what he's
more.
doing.
Doing?
Like doing is like what's going on here, what I see.
Really?
Did is like,
Did is like you did something
you
bad.
did
and you're gonna pay for it.
but he hasn't even, you haven't even seen
I wasn't-
it. What
I-
he's
I
actually
wasn't-
done. He hasn't.
I wasn't
checked
invested
it.
until it was my brother.
I'm
Yeah.
almost wondering if because of the situation, it would make more sense to even simplify stuff. Like rather than him specify like for what you did here, what you're doing here, like that just feels like
Because he's in shock.
you're going
I
too
agree.
much into detail while you're
Yeah.
like very upset with somebody.
Alright.
Like instead
Cross
of
it up.
just like I'm gonna fucking kill you, hear me, I'm gonna fucking kill you, like that's it.
It could even be I'm gonna kill you for this.
Right,
Yeah, something a lot.
Yeah, I'm gonna
simpler.
kill you for this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we'll take that shot in different
Yeah.
ways. All the dialogue, a lot of that we're gonna just.
I think a lot of it's gonna be kind of improv.
Yeah, it will.
Yeah, that's-
Because it's
that's
gonna be what comes naturally to Ray, what comes naturally to you, and
Yeah.
you.
Mhm.
So lines will change, but I do want you guys to read this as many times as you can in the next 4 days.
Yeah.
Because when we get to filming, a lot of these scenes are pretty emotional for your characters. I don't want to keep breaking for line requests.
Line?
So, yeah.
And it goes a lot faster.
Line?
Like
Yeah.
that was cool when we did the first one and they knew all their lines
Yeah.
and we never had to
Moral
like
compass, you mean?
yeah.
Yeah. All right, moving on.
Most of it.
Jeff freezes, then looks back at Ray. His smile is gone, replaced by an expression of fury. Jeff walks over to the pit, his gaze fixed intently on Ray. He stops, inches away from Ray's face.
Come again?
You heard me. I am going to kill you and that worthless piece of shit son of yours.
Ray spits in Jeff's face, which we'll probably just take out. We don't actually want him spitting in
I
that
think
face.
that it's gonna come again, it should.
I think you guys have too much of a
What?
personal
I
connection
wanna do
with
another-
this dad.
Lotion
Oh my
spray?
goodness.
He's a redneck though. Come again.
Come again?
Pardons.
Oh.
And then Ray pulls out his cock and starts stroking. So give me 3 minutes. Can't come again that
Why
fast.
do we keep going?
They didn't let me finish earlier.
Yeah, yeah, now you get to finish, Ray.
Come again, Ray?
Okay,
Just have him just spit at his feet.
I mean, I can change that line to what the F did you just say?
No.
Hey, Mikey, he's down in the pit. He's up top. How would he just spits at his feet?
Yeah, we can do that.
Just like insult him.
Okay. Ray spits in Jeff's shoe. Jeff wipes his face and grabs Ray by the shoulders. A newfound energy is taken over him, and he is now moving with quickness and aggression. Jeff smashes his head into Ray's, knocking him to the ground. He then begins kicking Ray in the stomach repeatedly. Ray manages to grab Jeff's foot and trip him. You guys should be making the noises this whole time. Jeff falls to the ground like Ray. And Ray crawls over to him. As Jeff turns, did we decide the chains are gonna be longer?
Yeah.
Okay. As Jeff turns over on his stomach and attempts to get up, Ray wraps the chains around his neck, pulling him back to the ground and begins squeezing. Jeff struggles as Ray pulls with all his might. The two of them roll around for nearly a minute before Jeff finally begins to go limp. Even as Jeff fades into death, Ray does not let up the pressure. He grits his teeth and keeps squeezing before finally letting go a few seconds later. Ray maneuvers his hands up from underneath Jeff's neck and sits back against the wall again, breathing heavily.
Fuck.
Fuck. So you did finish.
You did turn it into a porn.
Do we want
Sorry.
strangle makeup, or do you think you'll even be able to tell?
We could do it. We could do it.
Well, I think that if he pulls the chain around my neck, it's gonna leave a little mark anyway. So I think that we would probably want to do it.
It might be in
If
passing.
he just pulls enough, just, because the chain is kind of,
Mm-hmm.
thin metal, it's gonna leave one.
It's just gonna be there.
Temporary.
We do a pulse.
Yeah, we fix
Fix
it.
it in post. Alright, yeah, just mark it down. Just as a note.
Fix it in post-production.
Ray wipes the sweat from his face and then crawls back over to Jeff's body. He begins rifling through Jeff's pockets. He grabs a lantern and then continues searching until he finds a keyring in Jeff's front pocket. He darts back over to the pole and begins trying each key in the chain lock. Click.
Stop. Who brought the coolers?
Can I just,
Yeah, there.
can I just get on the key? Because I'm on big.
Alright, continue.
The fourth key on the ring unlocks the chain lock.
Stop, give me one too.
Ray snakes the chain out from around the pole and releases himself. He scurries away from Jeff's body and rushes out the door. Questions? You guys have anything?
They're up there crazy.
I love that Avery called stop. Two sentences.
Only one call and stop.
12. Exterior Olsen Farms night. Ray emerges from the milk house door and looks around frantically. There is no sound. The sky's dark. The air is still. Dead ahead, Ray sees his car. He looks around to make sure the coast is clear, then begins to move in its direction. After a few steps, he stops. The car's interior light is on. Clunk. Ray crouches down as he hears the door to his car shut. Popping out from above the driver's side, he spots Trevor. Ray stands up. After a few moments, Trevor spots Ray. As the two of them stare each other down, a loud guttural noise erupts from around
Guttural.
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 Guttural. Yeah.
Guttural.
Right there.
Noise erupts from around the corner of the milk house. The creature has emerged.
Fuck!
Ray stumbles backwards but regains his composure and bolts toward the pathway. The creature follows, but a little ways behind. As the two of them rush off into the distance, Trevor scurries to the milk house and enters. Ray runs for his life down the pathway, trying his best to keep his eyes looking forward. He glances back, realizing he has managed to create a bit more distance between himself and the creature. Questions?
Do we need this many fucks?
Oh yeah.
Oh, how much distance precisely?
Eric, good question.
You can always replace it with.
Should we cut to Troy there, going in and seeing Jeff laying there dead?
I think that's kind of what we talked about.
Yeah.
That being like more.
We
I
at least have to show him going towards it. to
I think we
him.
show him like scurrying in there and like running in and being like, Dad, or something. And then have him turn around to imply that he's running somewhere to the.
I kind of, when we talked about him, I thought it was like show me going in, and that's all we showed him. Then later on, at some point, showing him coming out to like imply that he's going over here. Or
Yeah. The only thing is, if we do that, we have to make sure Troy is also here earlier on Saturday, just for that one shot. Which he might be here anyway.
What are we doing? I thought we're not starting with the car.
We are.
Okay.
We're doing the car and then we're doing that.
When is Tony's
But
scene?
Troy isn't in that scene, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh, because we're gonna be doing the team stuff the night before. Well, we can.
Yeah.
You can change it up because he doesn't have people staying on Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told those
Yeah.
bitches to get out of here.
I mean, I
But
think,
you can have your money back.
I think the way it is now is still the best way.
Yeah. God, too bad that. Because we could have just done like the main stuff outside the tent, or just done everything that is non-bloody the first night, and then the car stuff, and then we wouldn't need everybody here Friday.
Yeah. We'll talk about it after.
Okay, yeah, we'll discuss it. Any other questions? 13 exterior campsite night. Take a look for a little bit.
What the hell was this? Ray barrels into the tent in a heap, desperate for any semblance of safety within its walls. He searches around for the backpack that Mark left behind. Come on, where the hell? He spots it, tucked away behind the head of the bed. He opens the main pocket and pulls out the pistol. He sits upon the air mattress and slowly creeps toward the opening. There is no sound apart from the soft thumping of distant footsteps. They slowly crescendo as Ray holds his breath.
Thump, thump, thump.
That was not a Christian though.
I did that on purpose.
It started strong.
Yeah. The sound of a high-pitched bell breaches the tension, and the sound of footsteps stops. Ray looks puzzled, but does not shift his demeanor. He holds the pistol firmly in front of him. Thump, thump, thump. Thump,
You
thump,
skip a
thump.
line there?
He did. Did I?
After the first thump, 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 you skip that.
Skip the Ray
Ray exhales and raises the pistol.
Into the dings.
Oh, see, but I read it.
Well,
See, I
read it right.
Yeah, we got loud.
Where's the bell? Someone's gotta ring the bell here, too.
No, I read that and I was like,
Where's the
oh,
bell?
you have to like say the words. Fuck that. Okay. He holds the pistol firmly in front of him, thump, thump, thump. The footsteps return, but this time they grow quieter with each step. They seem to be moving in the direction of the bell. Ray doesn't know what to make of this. He maintains his position until eventually the footsteps disappear entirely. After a few moments of silence, Ray peeks his head out of the tent and looks around. There is no sign of the creature. There is no sign of anything at all. Ray turns his head and looks in the direction of where he heard the bell. A little ways off, he spots the pole barn that he passed on the way to the campsite. It's the only place in the direction where anything may have come from. It must be where the bell came from. Ray closes his eyes. No. Do it! He opens his eyes again and walks towards the pole barn. But for a brief moment, Ray's gaze shifts away and focuses on his car. Still parked just in front of the farmhouse, his eyes fixated on it. Ray turns back to the pole barn and walks slowly toward the door. Interior pole barn.
Okay, hold on a second.
You gotta say stop.
Stop.
Pause.
Eric has to read his
Play.
So he can't see the pole barn from the tent. And if
You don't want him to, or it can be?
well, if he sees it, then it's obvious that they just took a picture.
Okay, that's fine.
So I don't know if there's a different way we can
Shoot the angle.
Which one
explain.
are we at?
When the monster leaves the tent, he looks outside and he sees the pole barn in the
What's
distance.
17?
What?
Yeah.
Page 17.
Because in the end, you wouldn't see, you could see the pole barn, but you could actually like, you'd see the milk house if you shot it from this angle. But if you shoot from this angle here, you can just make it look like there's nothing out there.
Yeah.
You just shoot basically towards that direction and never shoot this way. We can even.
Yeah, so we'll just have him look in that direction, because he runs past the pole barn, so he knows where it is. And then we'll just have it as he starts walking back, he sees it.
I mean, it's the silos that kind of.
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't be able to tell, but it's just something.
That's something I look forward to.
Something to be aware of that.
Where are they in space? Where are they moving in space?
Right. So maybe we could even go off in that field.
Yeah.
And give a shot of just the barn, you know, or something.
To make it seem like we walked longer.
Yeah. 5 seconds, see when he says that, he sees it in the distance, just use a different angle of the pole barn.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Put
We
him
go off in
somewhere,
that
yeah,
field.
put him somewhere else.
Yeah.
You can get that right.
Did you
just
mark
what
it?
you're looking for too.
No.
Mark it, no, just for notes. Because we'll just use that script Friday.
Any more questions? What are you two over there? Look at you, precious. Your spine will thank you when you're over sitting like that.
Emily's gonna get bored.
Alright, interior pole barn night. Ray enters the pole barn. Ray holds up his lantern as he walks through the pole barn. He's safe. We really like emphasizing pole barn here.
The air is cloudy in the pole barn.
Ray, in the pole barn, continues to walk deeper into the darkness of the pole barn. Ray reaches into the center of the pole barn. I didn't even know it was going to be there. Oh, and steps on something wet. What's going to be wet in there?
Blood.
Oh, stop. What is Mr. Trebek? So the blood's just going to be right when he steps in. First step, or he's going to walk?
Oh, he's in the center of the pole barn.
I'm sorry, honestly, when I'm reading it out loud, I don't know that.
You got caught up on
He's gonna walk to the center of the pole barn, and you're gonna hear the of his foot. He's gonna look down.
Splish.
That's not good.
Can we get that on
All
camera?
right, let me continue reading.
Is that recorded right there? That.
Take that over here.
Would you like
As he leans down to examine the pools of blood on the ground, he hears movement behind him. Whoosh. Ray turns around and points the lantern in front of him, holding up the pistol just behind it with his other hand. Whoosh. Behind him again, he turns back around, unsure what to do. His breathing accelerates, his eyes go in every direction. Thud. Ray drops to the ground, struck in the head with a hammer. A hand reaches out and grabs a lantern. As Ray loses consciousness, he sees Trevor's face. His cold, violent expression breaks into a smile. Any questions about the pole barn, dickhead? Blood.
We had some more.
Oh, pole barn.
Pole barn.
Pole barn. Okay, yeah.
Zach, did Eric saying Emily's gonna get bored?
Huh?
You said something about Emily's gonna get bored.
I said she's gonna get bored in the pit.
Right, just give her her cell phone.
She's chilling back there texting.
Well, I have her face the other way.
Man, pits in my day, they were way more rough.
rules out there that did, you know.
They didn't put hay down on the ground. There was a cement fucking floor, and guess what? You laid on it. Well, you're cold.
We're almost there. Let's get finished. An hour in now. Where are we at? 15 interior torture chamber tonight. This is the good stuff.
Tied up could be,
This dark room flashes into light as a row of bright spotlights shine down upon Ray, who now slowly awakens. He is fastened tightly onto a table, amazingly behind us, everybody.
Thank you, Avery.
With restraints on each limb. Behind him, a faint rustling. Trevor is organizing tools on a small metal table and whistling to the tune of Amazing Grace.
Where am I?
Trevor slides his metal table over the edge of Ray's torture table. On the metal table, there is a collection of knives, an assortment of random tools, and Ray's pistol. Trevor pulls up a stool to sit on and continues to whistle until he finishes the verse.
You know, I always really loved that one.
Ray looks up at Trevor, despair falling over his face as he realizes what has happened.
Something about those lyrics always really spoke to me, made me feel seen.
Trevor locks eyes with Ray for an uncomfortably long time before continuing. I wanted to keep this one serious, but I couldn't bear.
That's fine.
Oh, you guys are done? That's it?
Yeah,
That wasn't that uncomfortable.
I was uncomfortable.
I put a note here. Let's not actually whistle, and we'll record that separately.
Yeah.
That's probably smart,
or I
yeah.
should like lick your head up or something. Just to
Alright, Trevor.
Oh, see, you may not know it from looking at me, but I'm not exactly a perfect specimen.
He holds back a laugh.
So when they sing that part about saving a wretch like me, they were talking about a guy like me, a wretch, an outcast, a fucked up little freak.
His expression darkens.
And even still, Jeff took me in. He saved this wretch. He saw me, and he knew me, and he saved me anyway, because we were the same, different cuts of the same cloth.
Ray looks down at Trevor's hand as he grabs a knife and stands up.
I'm sorry.
Hang on. How did you see that, him saying I'm sorry? Is it, at that point, is he actually feeling bad for
I
him?
liked what he just did right
Yeah.
I
there.
think, that was just
Do it again.
more out of
You're kind of
fear.
Yeah, you're kind of
mixture
playing along.
Yeah, fear driving him to, say something.
Do it again, Ray.
Sorry.
One more. Stop smiling. You're serious. You're about to die.
I was serious.
Ray,
Your eyes are
Sorry.
Sorry. One more. I want to hear.
Sorry, bring it back later.
One more. I want to hear.
Okay.
hey, do the previous line again.
You could say you're sorry to your
His
mom.
expression darkens.
Do that whole line again.
And even still, Jeff took me in. He saved this wretch. He saw me, and he knew me, and he saved me anyway. Because we were the same. Different cuts of the same cloth.
Ray looks down at Trevor's hand as he grabs a knife and stands up.
I'm sorry. I fancy myself a religious man, Ray. It sickens me to see any man try to play God. And you've done that today.
He stops and grabs Ray's left wrist, turning his hand to face upward. He leans in and whispers in Ray's ear.
So if you want to play God, I'll give you his wounds.
Trevor stands back up, takes his knife, and plunges it through Ray's left hand. That was straight out of the worst movie ever made. The sound. Ray screams in agony. Trevor fixates on his suffering face with a dead, apathetic expression, then rips the knife out from Ray's hand.
Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be
He leans over Ray and viciously stabs the knife into his right hand. Ray comes out again.
satisfied.
Ray winces in pain, contorting as much as his restraints allow him to. Trevor leaves the knife stuck inside Ray's hand and stands back up.
And blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven.
Trevor pulls the knife out of Ray's hand and tosses it carelessly on the ground. He grabs Ray's head and looks him in the eye.
You are not God!
A look of terror overcomes Ray's face. A look of fury overcomes Trevor's. He slams Ray's head down and walks back to his metal table.
You're not even a man.
He picks up a smaller, sharper knife and viciously grabs Ray's bleeding left hand.
You are nothing.
He lets that last word linger in the air before lining up the knife along the lower knuckle of Ray's thumb and severing it. Trevor grows quiet as Ray screams in agony, then begins whistling again as he walks around the end of the table.
I once was lost, but now am found.
Trevor points a small knife at the base of one of Ray's eyes and slides it into his eye socket. As Ray lets out a tormented scream, Trevor flicks the knife upward and pops out Ray's eyes.
My son!
Was blind, but now
He leans back and holds Ray up toward the light. He looks at it and lets out a disturbing smile.
I see.
Trevor grabs a bandage from the table.
Now I'm not that evil. I won't let you bleed out.
I just added that there because we talked about it, and without a thumb, you can't tie.
Yeah.
And it defeats the purpose of like having that whole scene where he's like trying to tie you
Yeah.
and everything.
Yep.
So just have a bandage, like a dirty bandage, sitting there, and you're just like keeping him alive as long as you can. So we'll have you just like wrap around his face.
So I actually had a question about that because I was wondering. So now we have to make two hands?
No, just thumb.
No, because he stabs him in the hand, both hands.
Oh.
Left hand and right hand.
Hold on, what are you asking?
Can we
You just
clean it
move
out
the
and
thumb
use
to
it?
the other side.
What it's gonna look like?
Hold on,
It'll
hold
have a
on.
hole in it,
Eric,
huh?
it almost fell out.
Hold on, I think you guys are confused. What are you talking about?
Maybe
He
two
stabs
hands.
both his hands?
Stab both
Yeah.
hands. Stab in the hand, then maybe cut the thumb off.
Stab it, we need a fake
Different
hand.
hand.
We just need a
or
thumb.
But he puts holes through the hand.
Yeah, it's gonna be makeup. And that's also, I put a note here.
Oh, so we're not gonna show
So
it.
he's gonna stab one hand and then on that same hand, he's gonna rip the nail
Suppose you
off.
could stab the front end of the hand.
Okay, so we just need one fake hand?
Probably go
The only fake hand we need is for the brother.
Okay,
We
so
don't need a fake.
how are we
ring.
gonna do the thumb? Just like a,
Yeah, I mean, there's gonna be so much blood. And
We do need nails for that hand then.
yeah, I mean, we could put any nails on it.
yeah, we could just,
Just rip off one of Ray's.
Yeah.
plenty.
Yeah.
I already nailed for a hand already. Right? Or those teeth that you get.
have you made it?
No, I've read, like everything is ready. But basically this is like what I was saying, I have enough to make one arm to here, or we could make two hands to like right here. And then we could have a backup. Because the idea was, if we fuck up the thumb cutting and it looks just weird, like at least well back. If we fuck it up on one, it's
Can't
done.
we use that thumb you already made?
You could actually, the mold we can use, that's silicone, that thumb is garbage now. But the actual mold is like, we'll make
well,
something.
maybe we should just use that.
Yeah.
Because you're not gonna be able to tell it's your thumb or his thumb.
Yeah.
What?
I think he's saying we just use the thumb, we're gonna use Ray's hand and just hide the thumb, and we'll just cover it in blood and everything and shoot it in a way that you're not gonna notice.
I mean,
That's
we'll
fine.
probably do like this.
So I would just focus on getting his arm.
His?
Well, it's his arm that's in the bucket. It doesn't have to be his arm.
Whose arm?
Jeremy's.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it doesn't, we just need an arm. We need a face.
Okay, wait, so this is, so are we stabbing it and then blood coming out?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah,
We're stabbing it, but
You're not gonna see it?
we're gonna do the same thing we did to do that one.
See, dude, I might, okay, this
But
changed
we
it.
can't move the hand though. is
So-
the thing, so it would look weird to just. You know
So is that
what I
what
mean?
those fake
Got
knives
some
are
ideas
for?
for that.
No, that was for the.
So I was this entire time I thought I was making an arm that we were gonna stab and then cut the thumb off and like the blood was
No,
over. Oh my
no.
god, dude.
No, all you need is the shape, the mold of an arm.
That
that's-
takes a lot off my plate.
Yeah, no, it's literally a left arm. We're gonna put the watch on it, and it's gonna be in a bucket
That's so
like
cool.
this. So you're gonna see this much hanging out.
That's actually awesome.
And then we just have to reuse that mold for, we need a new thumb.
Maybe we should have some.
So here's how it works. What you do is, I'm just gonna explain so you understand. Use alginate, that's not the silicone. Silicone's expensive. You pour the alginate in, you put your hand in, it turns pink. After 5 minutes, you pull your hand out. Then you have like an hour or basically 24 hours, that alginate will decay and become nothing and useless. That's why
so we
that
gotta do
foam's
it the day before.
So you gotta do it like the day of, and then I've got pigment so we can dye it and color, because that helps with the makeup.
Okay.
Because then my plan was actually, what I want to do is take like kebab skewers and break them about the size of my finger and hot glue them together, so when I pulled it out, I could lay like a Terminator hand in there. And then what would be nice is if you dyed it, even if the piece of the wood was sticking out and touching like the finger, like the thumb was, if it was pigmented and then you painted over it, you wouldn't see it. Because the problem is when I watch all the videos, when you stab it, it looks like you're stabbing a gelatinous thing. There's no
Yeah,
bone
so
structure.
we're not actually stabbing it. All we need is a fake arm.
Yeah,
That's
That's so easy.
We're fake
Listen.
stabbing it.
Yeah. Wait, we're fake stabbing the real hand though, right? Yeah, okay. So for
Okay,
what you have to do is make a hand that'll sit in a bucket like this.
That's so easy.
And a thumb.
And a thumb. And a thumb. A thumb that looks real because we have to cut the
I was
fake thumb
really
off.
worried. I'm not gonna lie. I've been worried for like 3 weeks.
No.
Because I thought we were gonna have to like, because you have to fill a condom up, and then you you tape it to a wood hand. Because the guy I saw, they had a bone.
Is there any reason to have like a secondary thumb on hand then? Making one, just make two.
No, we can make so many now. Now that we don't have to make
How's that shocking to go?
so many thumbs.
Make a
We
bunch
can
of
make
thumbs
lots
then.
of
Make a bunch of thumbs then.
Bunch of thumbs.
Alright, moving on.
These are our
We gotta
critics'
move on.
thumbs.
Yeah, let's go.
Alright, who's blind but now I see Trevor grabs a bandage from the table. Trevor wraps the bandage around Ray's head, covering his bleeding eye socket. He lets out a laugh, and before long his mood shifts. Doing that? Or we're having Trevor run into Ray, right?
There gonna be some struggle.
Yeah, it was gonna be Ray gets free, you're distracted with the eyeball.
Mhm.
Ray gets up, grabs the gun,
Mhm.
but as he's going for it, you hear him, and then you come over, and before he shoots you, scuffle, and then Ray
That
knocks
is
you back.
totally different than what we talked about.
Over here?
Yeah, I thought you just came up and shot him in the head.
We talked about that.
He knocks him down, and then he shoots him in that.
Yeah, he's gonna knock him down,
That
up
seems
against.
silly. Why would you knock someone down if you were gonna shoot him?
Because they're struggling.
So I thought he's busy with the eye though.
But he hears
Like,
Ray as he gets up at the last second, and Ray goes to grab the gun as Trevor's coming at him, and they struggle with it.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be timing.
When you go on the ground rather than
Which isn't for distance.
Trying to
So
figure
there you
out-
go.
It's gonna be timing
Yeah.
on when he's going to grab the gun and you come after him, and you guys are struggling for it,
Yeah.
and maybe he hits you in the head with it or something. You're gonna fall backwards into that wooden post, and you're gonna be leaning like you're gonna be your back against it, butt on the ground, and Ray's gonna just pull the trigger and blow your brains out.
You gotta say some biblical shit when you do it too.
Yeah, come up with the.
I am the Lord.
Execution if you can.
What's
Start
that?
doing the boondock scenes.
Execution if you can.
Yeah.
Now I see.
Alright, so he struggles and then he shoots him in the head, killing him instantly. Ray looks just behind Trevor's body and sees his severed arm hanging out of a dirty bucket. The watch around the wrist is marks.
Do you think we should set that up earlier? Like have Mark look at his watch at some point? Just to like.
Yeah, no, we
see
talked about
that.
that, like in the car or something, you know. We have to show that
City,
watch,
yeah.
yep. And we'll have a couple shots at grabbing the lemonade, we'll use the watch.
Okay.
We'll have to add that in as much as we can.
It's his grandfather's watch.
16 exterior Olsen Farms night. A small trail of blood droplets follow Ray as he walks slowly to his car, holding the pistol and the lantern. For the entirety of the walk, he has refused to look back, but once he reaches his driver's side door, he finally does. Ray looks at the pole barn, then the milk house, with no trace of any lingering threats, nor any sign of the creature. A tear begins to fill Ray's one remaining eye.
I am so sorry.
As his final words ring out, Ray notices movement by the porch. Jeff's dog trots over to Ray and curiously sniffs him. He then looks up at Ray. Ray looks down at the dog and a sense of calm seems to wash over him. He walks to the passenger side of the car. Is it a bloodhound? Is that what you have? Oh.
No.
I just wrote it as one.
Okay.
Nah,
I tried to change as many as I could to dog, but I was kind of pasting a
I
lot.
was thinking of that, and I
He
was
loves
kind of
blood.
watching for any dialogue that says blood.
Yeah, no, there isn't. The dog follows closely behind. Ray opens the door and the dog slowly steps into the passenger seat and sits down. Ray returns to the driver's side, enters the car, and sits down. He looks over at the dog, then back at the barn. Ray's mood begins to shift. He grips the steering wheel more forcefully with each second, stewing in anger. Ray grabs a pistol and exits the vehicle. Ray walks back over to the entrance of the torture room he just escaped from. Above him he spots, above him he spots the bell that Trevor rang earlier. He reaches up and begins ringing it. Da-ding, 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 da-ding.